This is a presentation to be given at the COSA conference at Seaside, Oregon, June 2012. My name is Brenda Montgomery Conwell. After viewing this presentation, these are the areas that the participant will be familiar with and the things that the participant will be able to do. This presentation will be given live at Seaside. During the presentation, we will introduce ourselves. The participants will introduce themselves, and we will discuss blended learning, one-to-one initiatives, changing curriculum for one-to-one initiatives in terms of pedagogy, and how we can collaborate for success. To summarize, blended learning is combining instruction from the brick and mortar school and a virtual school or a virtual environment. One-to-one initiatives are when each student possesses a device that will connect them to the internet. In our case, we have iPod touches and iPads. The discussion about changing curriculum will occur later in the presentation. We believe that these are the following relationships that contribute to the school environment. All of these people, all of these groups need to be present and involved in any organizational structure that brings students into the 21st century. North Central Education Service District is located in North Central Oregon. Our counties cover a 3,700 square mile region. We have 6 districts. We have a fiber optic network and a distance learning program. The distance learning program is called the Frontier Learning Network. We've been around for a while. Originally we had mobile classrooms, interactive video conferencing, and teachers who traveled to visit the different schools, and a small selection of course offerings. In December 2011, it was announced that our Frontier Learning Network was the recipient of a distance learning and telemedicine grant from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. This project is called Enhancing Learning Options. We're able to put iPads into the hands of students, offer video conferencing equipment, a learning management system called Haiku Learning, multiple platforms, blended environments, and we're training a teacher cohort to begin the process of altering pedagogy. And this is what the Frontier Learning Network looks like now. The Arlington model is an instructional model, a change in curriculum design and pedagogy that aligns itself with one-to-one initiatives and the needs of standards-based learning in the 21st century. These are the major components of the Arlington model. We have gone global with a partner in Sydney, Australia. This is Wesley Field.
Good morning, Wesley. How are you today?
I'm fine, Rinda. How are you?
I'm fine. So why don't you tell everyone your name and your title?
Okay, it's Wesley Field, and I'm the Director of Innovation and Learning at Waverley College in Sydney, Australia.
And what first gave you the idea of coming to Oregon to visit our program?
Funnily enough, you did. I was having a Skype conversation about I wanted to bring somebody in internationally to stimulate some discussion with my students, and we got talking about some critical thinking, and you told me how you'd done a bit of critical thinking program work in Oregon. I was travelling that way, so I thought I'd have a little look and see what you were doing.
And what is it that you saw here that caught your attention?
Well, what I saw both there and in a couple of other places that I was looking at in the States were programs where students were encouraged to develop their independence. So what I saw when I walked into Arlington was the teacher pretty well sitting in the middle of the room and students just getting on with work all around her. And at the point where they were stuck, they would teacher, and then they would get back to work again. Most of the time they would discuss with each other what was the issue and how to get that solved before they go to the teacher. So it was that independence that I was after, and engagement, I guess. There was a quiet hum in the room as students were getting on with their work, and that's what we wanted to get going here. I guess what we have here at the moment is that's happening in a few classrooms, but in still too many classrooms. It's somebody up the front, the fountain of all the knowledge, telling them that they must learn at the same pace, listen to me, and you will sit there and you will learn. And that really disengages the students, and the boys get quite irritated and difficult to manage when you put them in that situation.
So what do you envision in a partnership between Frontier Learning and your organization?
Well, already we've seen huge benefits in terms of sharing expertise between yourself, myself, giving each other clues on how to improve different bits and pieces. You've done work with our students and teachers, helped me design some stuff in the classroom. If we come up with something great here, that we should be able to share that with your teachers. So it's really a sharing of knowledge and expertise between teaching community and engagement of kids with each other on real world projects. I know you guys have got fossil beds and the wind farms and things like that. We've got plenty of ocean work and outback information that we could provide to your people. So having the students come up with real world projects, sharing internationally, and having teachers share expertise, whether that be internationally or whether that be on something common within the curriculum, for example, studying geometry and mathematics. There's some things that we can just share directly that will fit into our curriculum, that sort of thing.
So talk about the exchange of information between cultures, having our students talk to each other, and we've talked about other countries coming in as well to the network. How do you feel about the value for our students for cultural exchange in this format?
Well, it's sort of, you need to take a step back every so often. I've been doing this for many years, and talking to you like this is just second nature to me now, and people all over the world. But every time you bring a student in and they talk to, like in your case, they talk to Rinda from Oregon. Oregon's near New York, isn't it? And then they pull out Google Maps and it must be hot there. And they find out that it's actually snowing and it's on the other side of the country. And their whole concept of the world starts to change. The fact that you've got an accent's pretty amazing to them. They just really, it just opens their world to that there are other people around. And sometimes as teachers, we have an adult understanding of the world and assume that everybody else has got that. Students can actually have a very restricted view of the world. That they live here and what's over the hill. Some of them even here in Sydney, Australia, big city, haven't been past the hill on the other side there, or haven't been past the city line, and we forget that. So to actually be speaking to people in other countries is a bit of a blowout for them, and it starts to open their minds to the fact that people may look similar, but may be completely different in the way they see the world.
And we did even talk a little bit about having a basketball tour, and your folks coming over and playing basketball with our various schools and visiting.
Yeah. Well, what we're really into here, we've got a new principal, Ray Paxton, who has looked at that. We've traditionally had basketball tours and rugby tours where they've gone and played basketball, but he's not really interested in that. Obviously, they would still play basketball, and he likes the idea of going to the smaller areas because obviously Americans are a little better at basketball than Australians, so we might actually have a chance if we go to smaller areas. What we're keen on is to, yes, play basketball, but really do something for the community. This is a Catholic school we're at, so it's really the ethos of the school to get in there and to work with the community and look at more of those community-based issues. So how can we turn a basketball tour into more of a missionary type tour, into what good can we bring to the community, what good can we receive from the community, and have a couple of games as well.
Terrific. So we've been talking a little bit about standards, and I've been delving into Australian standards, mostly maths right now. So do you think there's a significant conflict when teachers try and work together from countries where their standards aren't identical?
Well, yes. What I'm coming up against here is, why would we be going to the Americans for any advice when our literacy and numeracy standards are higher? Well, okay, fair enough argument, but you would then have to say, well, hang on, is Waverley's literacy and numeracy standards higher than Arlington's, for example? So, look, I believe there's plenty of things that come out of different countries that can then be reapplied in another country that improve it. I think the whole problem-based learning movement started in Sweden or Denmark, one of those areas, and that's come across the States, come across to Australia, and we've changed it and tweaked it and got plenty of benefits. So, I don't look at it as this is American or this is Japanese or this is whatever. It's just good educators trying things. So what I was after when I went to the States was who was achieving things with students. And you've got the database research there to say that these kids are absolutely screaming the house down in terms of their achievement and getting things, leaping ahead in achievement that they didn't have before. So I'm interested in that model. Now, I'm sure if we pick up that model and bring it over here, then we'll go again, because in the end, those literacy standards and numeracy standards are only about teaching to the test, and there's a lot more to life than that. So I like the idea of developing the independence and getting kids to think outside the square, which is what I think your model does.
So you have traveled all around the world. I think you told me you've presented keynote addresses on every continent, and in those environments you are billed as an educational futurist, and when you came and presented here, you absolutely talked about the future of education. In your global explorations of the innovation of learning, how does the Frontier Learning Network fit into that?
Well, it's right up there. So, as I said, I don't look at the countries, I look at what's happening in the countries and what are the elements. And the elements I'm seeing for future education are that students can find information by themselves and learn how to seek out answers to questions and problems, be the independent learners that we're describing, and not all operate on the same stream at the same time. There's too much options for them now. They can get onto the internet, they can find a fantastic maths teacher, they can seek other alternatives to education. So what we've got to offer them in schools is to tap into those resources that are all over the net, and we can do that through learning management systems, we can do that through different programs through the internet. So we need to set up the ability for kids to use those resources, not run away from them, and but have them locally shaped, and that's where I think the local teacher comes in. There's research here in Sydney University that they did where their students looked at the best lecturers from MIT, and they had one class just doing that, and so they went to arguably the best lecturers in the world for their subject and studied their subject, listened to those professors and those professors only. And they did not do as well as the classroom who used those professors but then gave a local context around it. So the best results were still from a blended environment, where a blend between internet resources and other media resources and the classroom teacher. So that classroom teacher has an enormously important role, and in the Arlington model what I see is they are still a central role in terms of when the students get stuck, they come to the teacher. But the teacher doesn't answer the question, they lead the student to answer it themselves. But it's that pushing, that leading them to ask more questions, to think deeper, to go away and not rely on the teacher for the answer that's impressive.
So what would you say to any school entity, school district, or building that is interested or considering at least possibility of joining our network?
I'd get in while the iron's hot, because what I'd be advising is that we don't grow too big too quickly. We've got interest now from, at my end at least, from Canada, from Australia, a couple of schools in Australia, Japan's looking there, and I know South Africa will be very interested. So we don't want to go too big too quick, I believe. So we're after like-minded schools who really want to achieve some pretty good outcomes with their students. If you're interested in that, then I'd advise you to contact Rinda and get involved as quickly as you can, because we can't take every school on the planet at this point. We need to limit that, and we'll limit it to those who are most interested and keenest. That's my opinion. I'm not sure if you agree with that.
I agree, absolutely. Okay, any last words?
Last words, who am I talking to?
Well, initially you're talking to school leaders, primarily.
Okay, look, I think what is happening here at Oregon is truly top of the world from what I've seen in many, many countries. It's amazing that such a small spot would have a model that embodies all the things that modern education, the research is saying to do. So I'd have a really good look into this and see, well, what's in it? How can we apply aspects of that to our world? How can we get involved? I'm actually also in a situation here where I'm teaching, and I'll give you one sample. Yesterday we were asking students to come up with a diagram that normally I would say, okay, buddy, all together now, here's a Venn diagram, and this is what a Venn diagram looks like, and this is how it is. And the students would go, yeah, Venn diagram, yeah, and they copy it down. Well, we don't do that anymore. We say, what sort of diagram would allow you to demonstrate the similarities and differences between these people's opinions? And so the kids come up and say, well, what's the diagram? You say, I don't know. Can you tell me something that would show similarities? How would you do that? And they'd come up with the idea, it's got to overlap somehow. It's got to do this. Yesterday what happened is this student came up with a diagram where he had them all separate and everything, but he then linked them with arrows. And it was between teachers, parents, and students. And I said, so how's that going to show differences? And he said, well, the students' ones are over there, and the teachers' ones are over there, and the parents' ones are down there. They're the differences. Where's the similarities? He said, well, I've got another circle here in the middle. And if it was, say, yellow and green, students and teachers, then the similarities between those would come to one that was blue, so he'd combine the colours to make the similarities one. So he actually designed this thing on the colour wheel.
Wow.
So now talking cross KLA stuff, understanding. And of course the ones where they were all together, all these colours come together, was the black one in the middle with white text on top so you could read it. So it was pretty amazing thinking. I wouldn't have come up with that. So when we give them the chance to explore and discover things for themselves, they come up with the most incredible things. And I'm learning as a teacher to shut up and let them go and ask questions. And it is achieving amazing results. The class in period 6 was dead quiet, well behaved, and on task. It wasn't like that 4 weeks ago. So that's what we're in it for, and amazing benefits can be had.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, thanks, Rinda.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for getting involved. Bye-bye.
So what levels of involvement are available for people who are interested in joining the Frontier Learning Network in some capacity? We have a number of member schools. We also have members of the teacher cohort whose entire schools don't belong, but the teachers belong. We have expert resource personnel from universities, from businesses, from various fields, and a lot of retired people. There are business partners that assist us in a number of ways. Supporters who are out there at least telling everyone, look at this is great, see what's happening here. We offer professional development. Some people just involve themselves with administrator or teacher professional development, and coaching, one-to-one and small group coaching for administrators and teachers. QR codes, quick response codes, have become a key feature of what we do. So during a live presentation of this, you will be loaned an iPad and have the opportunity to learn how QR codes are being used to quickly bring educational opportunities from the virtual environments into the classroom. And speaking of virtual environments, This is one of our platforms where learning takes place. So when we speak of platforms, we're talking about the ways that we connect with the students. We see them face to face. We interact with them in video conferencing opportunities. We email them. We meet them in online environments where we're sharing files and sharing programs. But we can also meet them in avatar form in this virtual environment that you just witnessed. Flipping the classroom is another aspect of our model. We want students to be able to access direct instruction when they're ready for it, as often as they need it. And so to free up the teacher from having to deliver direct instruction multiple times to those students who need it, we record our direct instruction that we know students are going to need and to be able to review, so that when we're in the classroom, we can be the coaches who are monitoring the students, walking around, offering bits and pieces of help and support as they're doing the work. So they call it the flipped classroom because the homework is being done actually at school while the teacher is there with them and can answer the questions. And what was traditionally considered lecture in the classroom is taken home after school, evenings, on their own time, at school on their own time, where they can see those lectures and get the information on how to do things. So this is an example of a flipped classroom. I won't play the whole thing, but just a portion of it.
So it's time for you to learn how I do this little magic trick where I take this sign, click on it, hit build, and your classroom campfire situation shows up in the middle of the sandbox. Then I click it again, hit clean, and it all comes back to us. So we're going to work on that now.
So what this is teaching is students in the 3D virtual world to take objects that they have created and then program them so that they interact with one another in a certain way. This is a rather advanced aspect of a first-year program in a course called Emerging Technologies for Collaboration. And so the students doing programming and managing those objects that they have created is a bit of an advanced skill. So they need to watch this video multiple times, so it's been recorded for them. One of the aspects of our project-based learning is that at the end of every module, students present what they have designed or developed, and it's their own choice. They come up with their final project. So here we have a student who's in the 5th grade but working at level 7, because we allow our students to work at the level that they've tested into. And this presentation is how to make a lemon battery. Unfortunately, it was early on in the school year, and the recording volume is rather low, but we'd like to show you a little bit of this anyway.
All right, Sarah. Go get it, action.
Go.
Hi, my name is Sarah Grady, and I'm going to be doing a presentation on a lemon battery. So first, I'm going to have to take a galvanized nail and put it on one side, and a penny and put it in the other. And then I'll have to do the same on the other lemon. Nail, penny, and then I'll take my white wire and hook it to one of the nails and one of the pennies. And in this, the galvanized nail and the penny have a chemical reaction mixed with the citric acid. And then the multimeter says, will tell us how much power it gives out. And it's doing about about 315. And to power anything, really, you're going to need a lot more lemons than 2, because it takes a lot of power, and this isn't even giving 1 volt, it's giving like 0.315.
So then Sarah went on to answer questions of the class. We have another student who would like to talk about his experiences in this new learning model.
Hi, so tell me your name.
Derek,
Derek, what grade are you in?
3rd.
3rd grade. So Mrs. Walborn is your teacher, and she was telling me that you were saying, when she asked if you would all like to go back to the old way of teaching, what did you say?
I don't want to go back to the old way. I want to stick with modules. I like it.
You like it? Why?
I think the modules are just more a little funner.
More fun, okay, and what else? Are they more interesting?
Yeah, the more interesting, and you're learning more things.
You're learning more things with the modules. Really? So, do you think that other teachers should go this way too? To learn to do this? Yeah?
So if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. At the end here we have a number of resources, links to information so that you can understand what the model is, what we do, and see some of the conversations that we've had with the teachers and people who have presented, more conversations with students and their perception of the model. So please contact us. Thank you.